horror. Did I jump scare you? Yeah, I bet I did, you coward.
If there's two things that get along about as well as oil and water, it's horror and anime.
Hey, it's me, Goku!
No. Wait.
Why, you ask? Well, take a look at this image. Now, I want you to honestly tell me that this fills you with terror and dread. Well, maybe a little. Now, that's not to say that the genre can't be done well in anime. I'd get some really angry Junji Ito stands knocking at my door if I thought that. But it's a really difficult thing to attempt when trying to tick off all the boxes of what makes a successful anime/manga. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, I ran into another the other day while scrolling through Crunchyroll, and for the love of God, I swear I am going to try my hardest to avoid any puns with the word another. I swear. I swear. I mostly clicked on the show because I had heard it from a friend, and honestly just because I thought the title card looked cool, but I had no idea it was a horror going into it. Now, this was my first actual full-on horror anime, because I'm not sure I can count this.
Think of a big black man chasing you!
So I kinda had high hopes that something would impress me, but well, I mean, you read the title. And I want to preface this by saying two things, because apparently I need to be scared to upload anything that can be inferred as negative. 1. Just because I did not think this anime was fantastic doesn't mean you shouldn't. In fact, I welcome someone to call me out on my bullshit. 2. Even if you agree with my points, you can still like the show. Believe me, if I hated every show I had the most remote of criticisms for, I wouldn't have made a YouTube channel. That being said, I did find the first little bit of the show kinda interesting, especially with that banger of an opening. But after putting all the pieces together, it honestly didn't really make any sense. Don't worry, I'll go piece by piece to show you what I mean. And in the end, while there were times I saw promise in a more interesting art style, and did genuinely get that feeling of horror, most of it just ended up feeling like another average anime. Oh god damn it.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We have some work to do now.
The show kicks off with this awesome spread of shots taken from the hometown the story takes place in, while describing the events that create the first piece of this mystery. You see, 26 years before the story takes place, a popular 9th grade student attending the local middle school had mysteriously passed away. This student's name was Misaki, and upon her death, her fellow classmates were devastated. But that all changed when one student pointed to the empty desk of Misaki and claimed,
"Misaki wa soko ni. Misaki wa shinjai no."
From that day, the whole class, staff and all, acted like Misaki had never died. They even went as far as to include her seat at their graduation ceremony. But that doesn't even scratch the surface of what the story has in store for us. From that day forward, every subsequent year, the next set of students who attended that same class as her, class 3, would succumb to a curse. If this curse was intended to, each month one student or immediate family member of a student would die. Well, at least they say one person, but I could have sworn that like 3 people died in 1 month at some point in the show. Now, what exactly triggers this curse? Well, at the start of every new school year, Class 3 would have 1 extra student on the attendance sheet than was originally anticipated and planned for by the faculty. This 1 extra person was assumed to be a dead soul, left to wander the classroom unaware that they were even dead. Yet no one was able to ever find who the extra person really was, due to the curse altering physical records and wiping memories of those who may have had conflicting knowledge. To avoid the brutal killings that would be witnessed each month, eventually a head of countermeasures would be appointed in the class. What were these countermeasures? Well, the plan is simple. Instead of trying to find out who the dead person is, one person in the class would be ignored by the rest, treated as if they were the dead person. I guess by reenacting the opposite of what began the curse, it would prevent it, but in actuality, the chances of prevention were like a 50-50 at best. Some minute detail would commonly cause the entire strategy to just fall apart. Now, I just want to say that this was pretty much the totality of the mystery the show had hyped up to this point, and was all revealed on episode 5 out of 12. Make of that what you will. There had been other attempts to prevent this curse, such as changing the class name from 3 to C, or moving the classroom altogether, but what I thought when I was watching this was, Motherfucker, why didn't you burn the whole goddamn school down? Yeah, that might sound a little extreme, but hear me out. This shit has been going on for 26 years, and it's not like some dumbfounded mystery that only the faint of heart believe. No, this shit is taken seriously by everyone in the school. Staff, students, family, and rightfully so. The first year alone yielded a kill count of 16 people. The first year! Like, if I were a parent in this and I thought there was even a 0.00000000001% chance of this shit happening, my child would be attending 9th grade on the opposite side of the planet. So immediately, I'm already questioning why in the 26 years they've had this problem, the only solution they could come up with was to give some poor schmuck the silent treatment. But it goes even further than that. Apparently, leaving the town, even if the curse has begun and you're in the class, means you are immune. No questions asked. Great, even better. Now we don't have to burn the fucker down. Just send the 9th grade students who would be in that class to a school a town over. And for those who are gonna say, oh, but that would be so inconvenient, or what if there isn't a close enough school? Listen, this is a serial killer level massacre happening each year. Build a new school, do homeschool for your, I don't know, just don't send them to the goddamn class. It's really a no-brainer.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
Right off the bat, upon learning the major mystery, I'd already began to wonder if this whole thing was just one giant skill issue. But unfortunately, it gets worse. From the first episode, there are several other mysteries laid out to the viewer, all of which I'll go into in a bit, but the most apparent one is the character of Mei Misaki. Now, if you recall about 3 minutes ago, I mentioned Misaki was the name of the dead chick who started this whole fiasco, so just keep that in mind. Our main character's name is Koichi Sakakibara, and I'm just now realizing as I record this if I have to say his name every single time I'm talking about him, I'm going to lose my mind, so I'm just going to call him MC from now on. And after transferring to the town of Yomiyama, the source of our newfound delusions, he temporarily lives with his aunt from his mom's side. Unfortunately, dude ends up in the hospital due to a collapsed lung. Bad RNG if you ask me. But upon leaving the hospital, he meets Mei Misaki, and this interaction is what first gives the hint that she's very involved in the mystery of this story. From there, we learn that she attends the same class that he does, the infamous Class 3. She has some association with a dead person, and every subsequent appearance of her gives off a feeling of unease. Lines like, "Don't mess with people who don't exist," or Misaki saying not to talk to her. Even the mystery of the creepy fake eye or the dolls, they're all there to present intrigue and make you wonder just what role she has to play in the grand scheme of things. Is she a ghost? Is she just in our MC's head? Is she cursed? Well, as I mentioned, in episode 5, all that buildup busts a little early, and in reality, this Misaki has nothing to do with the one who died all those years ago. Really, there's nothing special about her at all. She was simply the person chosen to not exist, as per the requirements of the countermeasures. All of the atmosphere, the dolls, the creepy shop, the standing like she's a 10-hour Vegeta in the Rain video, all of it was just shown to throw the viewer off the scent of the actual mystery. I would be fine with her as a red herring if the story didn't take 5 episodes to build up her character, all for it to be completely meaningless to the plot or narrative, and have her promptly forgotten about until another completely stupid usage for her pops up later. But this isn't the only example of a mystery that completely falls flat on its ass. From the first episode forward, there are some mini mysteries that make you also think the main character is relevant to the plot, only for the exact same formula to rear its ugly mug. Akazawa, the current head of countermeasures, mentions that she knows MC from somewhere, but both can't recall where. With the recurring theme of loss of memory from the curse, logically you'd think this would have some implications for the truth. But nah. They just met once. That was it. Literally no significance whatsoever. MC's mom died during birth, and she also happened to be a student from Class 3 15 years prior. This might have alluded to the MC being tied to the curse, or at least that he was the extra student, but no. All of it was coincidental. It felt like the story wasn't being super subtle with these mysteries by asking such obvious questions to the viewers like these, but all of them were just red herrings, only for the actual mystery to be dialogue dumped like a baby being spoon-fed. Even if the mystery ended up being simple to solve, at least having those pieces to connect it would have felt more satisfying. But instead, we're treated like shitting crying babies. Yet still, this isn't the worst offender to the story's writing.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
MC had entered Class 3 without knowing any of the circumstances of the situation. Not knowing that he was meant to ignore Misaki, he naturally spoke to her when it seemed no one else would. Obviously, the students had some sort of death wish for not saying anything because by feigning ignorance, it just caused the curse to begin anyways, and one by one people started to die. Now, I gotta wonder, what kind of sick individual allowed this child to enter this class? The excuse given was that a new principal who was unaware of the curse placed him in the class, and I'm wondering, huh? Why was this man not informed? Every one of their faculty members knows to treat this seriously, but the man in charge of the whole school doesn't. At the very least, coerce him into moving the kid to a different class. Like, it is literally a matter of life and death. But whatever. MC enters the class, starts poking his nose where he shouldn't, curse starts back up, and he learns how it all works. Cool. After the nature of the curse was revealed, the tone and direction of the story took a pretty dramatic shift, and the new problem to solve was how to stop the curse once it had begun. This eventually led the students to come across a tape from a previous student of Class 3 who managed to stop the curse during his year. Well, turns out if you find the dead extra person and game mend them, the curse goes to grab some milk and cigarettes and promptly disappears. Unlike my dad though, it actually comes back the year after. So the race was now to discover who this dead person is. Only issue is that there is no way for anyone to determine who this person is. Even worse than that, if word were to get out that this could save their lives, it might lead to a mass homicide worse than anything the curse could dish out. So what genius solution to this problem does the story provide? Well, the students who found the tape try to hide it from the rest of the class by talking about it out loud in public, next to their classmates, which huge coincidence led to a giant murder fest where everyone claimed they knew who the dead person was. Tons of characters who I'm sure not even the wiki could name get ganked in some of the dumbest ways imaginable.
My ears burn!
But the real kicker is that apparently Miss Eyepatch can just see who the dead person was the whole time. Story goes, since one of her eyes were removed due to a tumor, the glass doll eye she has as a replacement can now see an aura around people who emanate death. So like sick, injured, or, well, dead people. Now, far be it for me to argue with the physics of a fictional world, but, like, why? More importantly, why was this only used once half the goddamn class was dead? They had a get out of jail free card the whole time, but just didn't use it. Cool. So now you may be asking, who was it? Who was the extra person? Was it MC? Well, no. How about Chinibio? Also no. Maybe wannabe MC? Nope, she ate shit and died. Oh. Oh, it's the aunt. Oh. Wait, what the f- Now, if you don't remember, the story explicitly stated that every year there would be an extra desk in the classroom belonging to the extra student. At no point did the story allude to the fact that it could just be anyone associated with the class, because that kind of wouldn't make sense with the original death. But no, it's the aunt. Well, that clarifies the reason why Misaki never told MC who the extra person was, because she didn't want to hurt his feelings. I'd love to hear your dead classmates' reaction to that, especially since...
さよなら、玲子さん。
Not only was this reveal underwhelming because it broke the rules that the curse established, but because even if we had known that, the clues to solve it were so sparse that only maybe Sherlock Holmes or Jesus could have found out who it actually was. Otherwise, you were basically given nothing to work with in terms of the mystery. But that's about it. They kill her, the curse ends, and then some classmates hide the original tape back where it was found. But side note, why would they hide the original tape? If they wanted people to use it, they should have just given it to the school. And if they didn't, then why not just destroy it? Why go through all the trouble for them and the next generation of suckers? But yeah, that's another for you. It had an interesting beginning, all for the show to be filled with pointless misdirection, retcons, and underwhelming deliveries. The mysteries either seemed so simple that it was uninteresting or so impossible that it was unsatisfying. None of the characters stuck out to me, and each of their arcs were so detached from the plot that it makes you wonder why they took so much time to explain them all. While I didn't really find anything about it particularly scary, that initial tone that it set was at least unsettling, and I wish it stuck with that feeling throughout the rest of the show. But no, it was just another generic looking, feeling, and written show that really makes you wish you were still watching ghost stories.
God, you are four of the ugliest fucking kids I've ever had the misfortune of laying my eyes on. I can't wait for this bitch to kill.